I like to take full control as the DJ. And if you don't like Shania Twain, then you.
Being sober means drinking some stuff that you actually like, because let's be honest, some alcohol tastes disgusting.
The first thing I do is find the family pet and bond with them. That's pretty much what I do at every party.
You can play Wasted Friends bingo. I spot a drunk friend telling me they love me. Tick.
I see someone crying over a lost cell phone that's sitting right next to them. Tick.
I spot someone giving up on their high heels and decide to carry their bingo! Wah.
There is nothing in the rule book of life that says you need to drink or do drugs. But do drink water or you will die. So, I got you.
I don't subscribe to the idea that you need to try everything once. Like haggis. I'm going to go my whole life perfectly happy that I've never tried haggis.
It is 100% okay not to drink or use drugs.
Frankly, I think choosing to be sober, especially as a young person, it's pretty cool.
There's no one clear reason why I decided not to get into drugs or alcohol. I wasn't that into it when I was in high school, maybe just because I didn't like what it was doing to the people around me, or didn't get into that scene, I guess. And then when I was older, I wanted to become a professional sportsman, so that was a good excuse. And then the sports thing fell over badly, as you can probably tell. And then I got into comedy, and it was quite weird being in comedy because that was a industry where there's a lot of drugs and alcohol, and I kind of saw how it negatively affected the industry, and almost felt like it was a life hack to be sober all the time. Like, I literally have gotten gigs because people have pulled out because they're too hungover on a Saturday morning to shoot, and I've been called up. Not because I'm talented or skilled in any way, but just because I'm sober and living close to the set. It's one of my biggest career strengths. It's like, how's Guy? Well, he's not great, but he is sober, and that's basically all we need at this point. It's the bare minimum. Yeah.
Here's a surprise fact. Most high school students aren't drinking or taking drugs.
And the ones that are, they're probably exaggerating.
It's like reading the terms and conditions. Everyone says they have, but how many do really?
I got pretty wasted in the weekend because my mum gave me a sip of her Aperol Spritz, so yeah. Pretty loose weekend.
A survey of New Zealand secondary school students found that only 8.3% of them drink alcohol once a week or more, and only 3% of them smoke cannabis on a regular basis.
That's such a small percentage. It's like hardly anyone.
I'm not sure if you guys are any good at maths, but that means if you had 100 students, only around 8 of them would be boozing it up on the weekend, and only 3 would be blazing it up for 20.
That leaves a lot of sober emojis.
So if your friends are drinking or doing drugs, they're probably in the minority, and there's plenty of other people you could hang out with that aren't drinking or doing drugs.
We might get the idea that booze and drugs are a teenage rite of passage because of the movies and the TV shows, but that's just to amp up the drama.
So dramatic.
Just remember, most people in those movies are actors in their 30s playing teenagers. It's weird.
There were certainly times when I was growing up in high school, going to parties and things like that, where I did feel a little bit of pressure. And for me, I quite early on adopted an identity that was straight edge as a teenager. And I think that added a layer of resilience to me. I had music outside of school, I had friends outside of school, and the strength of my self-identity meant that I was able to quite easily be in those environments, go to parties, hang out with my friends, and not participate. And I had a car, so I played sober driver, and fortunately, most of my friends were very, very respectful of that.
There are lots of benefits to staying sober and not using drugs.
You're gonna save money. Booze and drugs ain't cheap.
Who had money in high school? I never had money. I spent all of mine on Beyblades and Pokemon cards.
You'll have deeper relationships with people you care about.
It's hard to have intelligent conversation if you slur in your words.
And if you're sexually active, it won't help you out in the bedroom. I'm sorry, lads, but some drugs can lead to a sad little flaccid willy. Can't get hard.
I've definitely had periods in my life where I've been drinking, partying, doing the old but I guess it was mainly at uni. I drink a lot because it's kind of like, you think it's the fun kind of uni experience, but at the same time, I've always been very like driven and focused on like my career. So there just comes a point where you know in yourself, you're like, okay, is having a hangover gonna, get me moving forward in what I want to do, or is it gonna be like I'm gonna be like ugh, the next day? And not be able to do anything. And I think that is part of growing up, and you realize and you make those own decisions yourself.
If you choose to stay sober, you'll have better opportunities to succeed in academics, music, and sports.
I wish I spent more time at school playing sports than finding ways to get drunk. As an adult, no one makes you exercise. It's all up to you. And it sucks.
It will help you have a better relationship with your parents because you don't have something to hide.
Oh, I was so bad at lying to my mum. I'd be like, I'm gonna go stay at Damien's house. No? Okay, I'll stay home.
And if your mother is anything like mine, awesome, and a real snoop, you can't hide anything. She'll look in your cupboards, under your bed, in your car. Yeah.
And you'll probably have less embarrassing stories or photos the day after a party. The key word there is probably. Who knows? You might be more embarrassing sober. I'm not sure.
Back in the day, if someone took an embarrassing photo, it had to be etched onto a stone tablet first. But now it goes straight online. I'm quite old.
If your mates are drinking or using drugs while you're there and you're not, they may ask you why.
If you choose to stay sober, this isn't a decision you ever have to justify.
I mean, there are things that you should have to justify, like, why do you need 5 sauces on your Subway sandwich? That just seems like far too much.
You can just tell them, because that's how you feel and you don't need a reason.
If your friends are pressuring you to drink or do drugs, not your friends, like, it has to be your choice, and it can't be because you feel peer pressured to do it.
Focus on the positives of what you're gaining by not using, rather than worrying about what other people think.
See this beautiful, sensual skin? That's from not putting crap in my body. Except for Cocoa Pops, I regret eating that.
But being sober doesn't mean every weekend has to be a silent disco. You can have just as much fun sober. I mean, maybe even more. This time, you can do the shaving of the eyebrows.
You can still listen to your favorite music together and dance.
Get some hobbies. I got some hobbies. Can't think of any right now, but I'm getting some as soon as this is finished.
I have a Twitch channel, which I run 3 nights a week. It's called Stay Home Club. And we hang out there for 2 hours, 3 nights a week, and we play video games, and we just hang out in a big group chat. And it's like being in a social environment without needing to go out or party or whatever. You just hang out, you have absurd conversations, and you play video games, and it's still social without leaving your house, which is like my favorite way to be social. So that's something that I like to do, and we have a whole community of young people who just come and hang out with us, and it helps them to meet other young people who are interested in the same sorts of things, have the same sense of humor, like to listen to the same bands. And then even if you don't have that in your home life, in your school, in your town, if you live in a small town, then you can find those communities of people with the same sorts of value as you online, and then you can hang out with them there as well.
If you find yourself feeling pressure from the people around you, here's a few things you can do.
Think about what's important to you, and whether it's focusing on making the first 11, or getting in the school musical, or just literally anything else. What makes your family proud? Think about what's important to you.
If you're hanging with people who can't respect your decision to stay sober, maybe just spend some time with friends who can.
Just keep checking back in with your values. These might come from people that you look up to, or just what feels right to you.
I like to make a list on my phone of my goals and what matters the most to me and my heart. And when I'm feeling down, I check my phone for those messages. And sometimes I can't find them, but when I do, I know I've got this. Do I got this? I think I've got this.
Ask yourself if taking drugs and drinking really aligns with your values. Is it actually what you want to do? Or does it just feel easier to say yes?
If you really don't want to have to deal with pressure, you can always bluff it. You can just fill a beer can up with water.
I used to literally walk around parties back in the day with a can of spaghetti in my hands, and no one would notice the difference. bonus is the next day I got a can of spaghetti. I'm living de vida loca.
If you're at a party and everyone is drinking and you don't want to be there, don't feel pressured to stay.
Also, here's a tip. You can leave a party without saying goodbye.
Sometimes it takes so long to say goodbye to people, like goodbye, goodbye. Oh, hello, you just got here. Oh my God, I'm just leaving. Just ghost, get out.
So if you're choosing to stay sober, remember, that's totally cool and nobody else's business. You're your own person. You got this.
Thanks for the Real Drug Talk New Zealand On Air.